In the last year, school children, families, professionals, business owners, and even 16-year-old activists have been fighting hard to bring a century's worth of climate science to people's attention.
Yet governments are still not doing enough about the imminent climate crisis we are about to face.
At Enactus Southampton, sustainability is at the core of everything we do.
Over the last year, we have been focusing on projects that are centred around being resilient to a changing climate.
Our enterprises, Project Millon and Future Brew, incorporate sustainable and adaptable technology required to tackle food waste and water insecurity.
Over 2 billion people live in countries experiencing high water stress, and in the next 5 years, this will increase to 3.5 billion.
In India alone, nearly half of the population experience acute water stress, and it is therefore one of the world's most vulnerable countries to climate change.
Yet 80% of India's fresh water is consumed by inefficient farming methods.
If not distressing enough, 60% of this fresh water is wasted due to leaky irrigation systems and ineffective application methods.
India needs to be at the forefront of water-saving technologies. It needs an agricultural method that is independent of weather and that communities can rely upon.
This is why we created Project Millon.
Project Millon is an innovative, climate-smart agricultural approach capable of growing crops and cultivating fish using 95% less water than traditional farming methods, without the usage of soil.
Our system covers over 500 square metres of land, which is capable of sustaining more than 1,200 plants at any time and holds almost 600 kilos of fish.
After creating a successful prototype in the UK, we decided to collaborate with Enactus teams in India. So we partnered with Enactus DTU, a university team located in northern Delhi. They conducted multiple needs assessments with local farmers and consumers, collecting 60 valuable responses, from crop preferences to monthly income and price breakdown, sparking huge interest in the system. We took this input and incorporated the needs of the community into the design of the system. After the creation of a 3D model, we were ready to upscale and implement our system.
So in August 2019, we visited Delhi to build the system. During this trip, our team and Enactus ETU arranged logistics with local suppliers to deliver the necessary materials. The construction didn't come without problems, from our greenhouse being destroyed by monkeys to constant periods of heavy rainfall.
We persevered to find solutions to these problems, and with the help of DTU and local contractors, we finalized the construction of our pilot. Materials utilized for the pilot were sustainable and locally sourced in order to minimize the plastic usage. Our unique design uses primarily bamboo and metal, whilst maximizing the usage of recycled material that would previously have gone to waste, like flex and PVC pipes.
Now let's see how the system works.
The system works as a cycle. The fish farmed in the tank produce organic waste. This waste is passed through a series of filters, converting the organic waste into nutrients for the plants to grow. The plants are grown on floating rafts in growing beds, where the roots collect all the nutrients to clean the water for the fish. The cycle is then repeated. This eliminates the need for harmful and expensive fertilizers, as well as reducing the extensive use of water, with our system using 95% less water than traditional farming.
Each full system costs £3,000, with the main expenses being for the construction of the greenhouse, growing beds and tanks. We are forecasting the cost of the implementation to be repaid within 16 months from the start of selling the produce and fish.
The produce from our system will be sold at the university and restaurants across the city. This will aid in minimizing the carbon contribution of transportation compared to the alternative products coming from outside the city.
To widen our impact further, we decided we not only needed to implement our aquaponics system, but also saw a responsibility to educate local communities and spread awareness of India's water wasting farming methods.
Working with DTU, we have contacted 80 schools in Delhi and are aiming to deliver 2 different workshops that focus on developing innovative solutions for environmental causes.
The first will entail a visit to the schools where students will use waste from their homes to create an idea that can potentially resolve sustainability issues. Pupils will then have the opportunity to interact with the system at the university, where they can understand in depth how sustainable solutions can improve future water scenarios.
Our system in India is a pilot, and we are aiming with its successful completion to expand and replicate the system in rural areas. This is where water scarcity is even greater, and people are the most in need of reliable food sources.
As climate change worsens, we want to help those who are most affected. In Indian farming communities, suicide rates are 47% higher than the national average, with 11,370 farmers taking their lives in 2016. To tackle this, we want to employ farmers to work on our system full-time and eventually replicate the system in rural areas to improve farmer resilience to climate change.
DTU has already had discussions with local farmers who have shown great interest in working with our system.
The distance between India and the UK is more than 6,000 miles, but the two countries are both facing problems driven by a climate crisis.
Did you know that if food waste was considered as its own country, it would be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter globally?
Did you know that in the UK alone, 1.9 million tonnes of food is wasted every year, and that bread alone makes up 900,000 tonnes of this?
This is enough to lift 26 million people out of hunger.
It has become clear that drastic and immediate action is needed, so we decided to act. At Future Brew, we knew that it was not enough to combat this complex issue from only one angle. So instead, we devoted our energy to three key issues: repurposing food wastage, reducing food poverty, and educating future change makers on the importance of sustainability.
We decided to combine the traditional pub culture of the UK and the ever-increasing environmental concern of university students by creating beer out of surplus bread.
Our first beer, Stag, is a juicy pale ale with little bitterness and hints of citrus and grapefruit, uniquely characterised by its slightly biscuity finish. Stag has been a success in converting those who claim to not even like traditional beer, with over 500 pints sold in our launch nights, selling out our entire stock. Each pint is sold for £3.20, and for every one that is bought, we save 160 grams of CO2 from being emitted to the atmosphere. This is equivalent to driving 1.2 kilometres in your car. So let's see how the system works.
First, we work with FareShare, who connect us with local supermarkets to collect their food waste. Next, one of our deliverers goes to the supermarket at a designated time and collects the surplus food. We then deliver the bread to the local brewery, who brew the beer before we transport it across the road to the university pub.
After partnering with FareShare, we saw firsthand that alongside bread, all food types are wasted, and therefore decided to work with St James, a Hampshire-based homeless charity. Most of the fresh produce, such as vegetables, fruits and pastries, are given to St James's, who directly allocate the food to the 2,500 people they work with. People in their network are now able to access healthier foods, such as fruits and vegetables, improving their well-being.
The rest of the surplus food is delivered to October Books, a local community shop who sell the food at a reduced price. Each item is sold based on its original value, ranging from 20p to £1.
Profits of the sales from the community shop are split equally with the shop and as a payment to the two individuals who deliver the food. At a reduced price, the food is accessible to all, whilst raising awareness of food wastage.
True change and impact can never be achieved by only redistributing the waste. At Future Brew, we are firm believers that educating our young leaders of tomorrow is vital in order for a shift in sustainable change to be seen.
The UK's current education system is missing a curricula that actively shapes environmentally aware citizens by not teaching them how to create actual and substantial change in their local communities. So we have started running sustainability and waste workshops where students are called into action to plan their own social enterprises. These include running buses with the use of wind turbines to tackle air pollution, or running a soup kitchen that employs the homeless. So far, we have run 4 workshops, each with 30 Year 10 students.
So far, Future Brew has saved more than 1,015 kilograms of CO2 emissions and is operating as a carbon negative business. We have also provided 450 meals and redistributed 188 kilograms of surplus food, sparking interest with the TAB and the BBC.
Before the current pandemic, we were aiming to expand to 20 pubs in the Southampton area by the end of April and become the official beer of the university by supplying our first event, Varsity, on the 15th of March. As a result, we were forecasting £62,200 in sales this year. This is based on the sales of the university pubs and events, as well as the interest that local pubs have shown. So from this, we forecasted sales at 80 kegs per month. Instead, during this pandemic and the associated slowdown of business activity, we have focused our efforts towards our branding and social media awareness, as well as working with our partners and preparing for when the pubs reopen.
Once the world resumes normal operations, we are aiming to expand to Bournemouth, Brighton, Bristol, Reading and Portsmouth after the initial pilot period in Southampton is complete. This will also give us the opportunity to employ individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds to deliver our surplus food and for us to expand the reach of our educational workshops.
Future Brew is the vehicle tackling food waste. With less than a year since the implementation, we have saved more than 2,000 slices of bread from going to landfill, offset 1,015 kilos of CO2 emissions, educated more than 100 students on the importance of sustainability, and increased access to fresh fruit and veg for 15 people in Southampton.
Project Millon helps to ensure water security and continuous education on the detrimental climate changes we face today. We're in contact with 80 schools to carry out these educational workshops and bring our aquaponics design into small-scale commercial products here in the UK.
Our other project, Charge, is providing digital education skills in the Char region of Bangladesh through the use of solar energy and innovative computer methods.
And this year we have pioneered new enterprises such as Pangani, whose aim is to improve access to educational resources in Malawi.
These projects are on the forefront of innovation and sustainability.
We, as Enactus Southampton, want to make society realise that the time for change is here and now. Because if not us, who? And if not now, when?